Hi, everybody. I am Christy Mandor, and I'm here with Hope Timberlake, and we are at our final third video of our three-part video series on relieving and reviving ourselves so that we can tackle whatever comes our way and choose what we want to come our way. I think that was a big piece of the last video. So just to give you a refresher, if you're just catching up now, Hope and I created this video series because we really felt like we have almost by chance taken on this norm of busy, 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 busy. And with fall coming in and the summer lazy days behind us, it often gets ramped up without us even being aware of what we got ourselves into. So this is a way for you to prep and prepare so that you can make more conscious decisions on what you do in your life, no matter what place or space you find yourself in. So we are focused on the C.O.P acronym. If you go back to our first video, Hope breaks down where that came from, how she heard about it, and how we are incorporating it into this idea of reviving, relieving ourselves. And the first C is capabilities. That's the first video. The last video was organization. We focus on the organizations we find ourselves in beyond business. And today we're going to be focused on purpose. But originally within the acronym that Hope was introduced to of the C.O.P acronym, it wasn't originally purpose, it was passion. And we chose for today to switch it to purpose because we felt like it was more fitting for what we were discussing. But Hope, can you just share why you feel that passion was the P originally?
So what would happen is we would talk about people who were looking for the right job or for feeling motivated or for looking at their careers and finding that, okay, they have these things they're passionate about and they might even be good at them, but they don't necessarily contribute to the organization. So they become almost like hobbies, and there was a mismatch between what they loved, what they're good at, and what the organization needed. And this is an old way of looking at things. I mean, I would say now we look at things of like, okay, you're good at something and you're passionate about it. Let's look at, can this work for the organization, or
Sure.
how does that contribute to the organization? But this was, let's say, 15 years ago, early 2005, call it. And things were different in how we viewed what the organization wanted. It was a lot more of a inflexible job description or inflexible role that you'd have in an organization. So the passion piece, we try to interweave into what the organization needed and what you did well, but we didn't see it that way, as your passion can really be an attribute to the organization. So could you talk about how we decided to expand the term to purpose?
Yeah, so off of what Hope was just saying, the passion piece is, of course, super important. And at the same time, the way that we've taken the acronym C.O.P, we've extended it so that you could feel capable and a sense of contribution within whatever organization you find yourself in, whether it's a business, whether it's in your home, your community, your kids' schools. And as much as, of course, we would want to be passionate about being involved in all those areas and the roles that we play in life, we're not always passionate. A lot of times, most times we're exhausted. So we wanted to switch it to purpose again, to really, I feel like, hone in and give yourself that pause of getting clear on what your purpose is and choosing wisely, like just choosing more consciously. I'm going to give you possibly a silly example, but I feel like if you're someone who has kids and you're working or you have your own business and you're trying to figure out how you can do it all, quote unquote, and do it in a way that you feel not exhausted and depleted, but where you really said, you know what, I gave that some thought and I didn't overthink it, but I gave it some clear thought of what I'm capable of doing and contributing to this organization. So what is my purpose? So the silly example is just recently I was, saw a whole list of volunteer activities at my kids' school given by the PTA, and there were a ton. There were so many activities coming up. And I was like, okay, so what can I contribute? And how can I do it in a way that I feel like I'm giving from a place that is purely giving, and I'm not feeling harried or anxious or I need to be ba 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 ba. And I chose one activity. I chose just one activity. And it may sound silly, but if you're someone who over gives, you may have wanted to click every like yes to like 6 out of the 20. But in actuality, if like Hope was talking about in the last video, quality over quantity, if you could give a like a richer version of yourself and a more whole version and contribute that with one activity at your kid's school or at your organization, instead of being accessible like 24/7, you'll feel better. You'll feel more relieved. You'll feel more revived, and you'll be able to show up in your roles feeling more grounded and feeling clearer. So purpose was huge. And we really, within purpose, we also talk about peace of mind. So what is my purpose here? What is my purpose? I really want to calm down and have a little bit more peace of mind. Or my purpose is I want to be contributing. Or my purpose is I want to get clarity. It again is another self-awareness practice, really, to allow you to slow down, to just ask that question. What is my purpose?
Yeah, well, and there's yes, all of that. And taking your example of you selecting one thing, because I think a lot of us are overachievers and we see that our work organization, our personal organization, our communities, our schools need things. And so we're like, me, I'll do it, I can do it. And we really can get very overburdened, overwhelmed, burnout. The other angle is 2 weeks ago, I was on a hike with a friend and we were looking at the month of September. And I said, oh my God, I cannot believe what my schedule looks like in September. There are all these people back to work, and I have back to back coaching sessions pretty much the whole first 2 weeks of September and barely even a lunch break. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I was feeling very overwhelmed. And the reality was this: I was highly capable of doing this coaching work. I've been doing it for a long time, and these were people who had seen me do it and they wanted more coaching. Their organizations needed it. My bank account needs me to do it. Their organizations need me to coach. And I was just not feeling the passion of the old C.O.P model. And my friend Jen said, think about the impact you're providing with each of those coaching sessions. What would it look like if you looked at your calendar that way? It was a game
I
changer.
love that.
Game changer.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Jen. Yes. Yes, Jen is very wise. And it really was. It went from like, yes, if I focus on my passion, then I'm like, well, screw this. My passion is to go out and get outside, take a nap, hike a mountain. But actually, if I focus on the purpose, the impact I was creating, not only did I feel better looking ahead, the Sunday scaries weren't so scary, but also during the day, it was amazing. I did 6 coaching sessions back to back. At the end of the day, then I had to type up all my notes. So it was a full 8 hours without leaving a desk. And I thought, wow, that was a really rewarding day. And did that multiple days in a row. I was amazed at how it really sustained my energy and made it feel so rewarding rather than depleting.
It's such a powerful reframe.
Yeah.
It is so powerful to be able to shift it to what is my purpose. It's to create an impact. It's to support the clients or whoever the people are that are, maybe it's your team members, whoever it is, right? Like, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? I love that idea because again, going back to what we were talking about in the last video, creates more of a sense of togetherness. And there have been so many conversations around isolation pre-COVID, just very much that we are a very isolated, we're just in an isolated time.
Yeah.
People for different reasons. But the more that we can create a sense of community and create a sense of togetherness, and when it seems like, just from when you were talking about that shift that Jen shared about impact, there was more of a cohesive, we're on the same side with the
Yes.
client versus
Yeah.
versus
Me
on the other side.
or me versus all of them. It was
Yep.
like together. Let's see what
Yes.
we can do.
Yes.
It was transformational.
It's huge. So that's the big piece, is that purpose. So if you just woke up every day and said, what kind of impact can I have with my kids? I feel like it almost creates this sense of not even having to think about quality or quantity. Your quality will be better, and you won't even be thinking about any, like, distracting yourself with your phone or whatever it is, or the busy stuff that you do in the morning that might get distracting, because you'll just be focused on that intention. It's very intention based, which I love. So again, that creates that sense, and you wove it together so beautifully, the capabilities to the organization to the purpose. The purpose piece, we were saying it scaffolds, and it does, the capabilities, organization, and purpose. But we also had discussed when we were prepping for these videos that you really can make it what you want. Sometimes you won't have time, nor will you be in the mindset to look at your capabilities. You just, whether it's you're just going through life at that speed, because sometimes that's what happens, or you just don't have the mental bandwidth to do it. It might be, I'm going to jump straight to organization. How can I contribute? That we discussed in the last video. It might be jumping straight to purpose. What's my purpose? And it's just a quick way for you to re-navigate, and also for you to take the reins back. One of the best analogies that I've heard about emotions is you're riding a horse, and the horse is your emotions. But when you're dysregulated, you're the horse and your emotions are the driver. So you have to swap it out, right? And so these practices help just catch it. So it's like a whoa Nelly kind of thing. So I even do that with clients sometimes. Doing anything somatic really helps. So I'm going to key on that piece, Hope, and then you can jump in with anything to add on, or if it makes you think of you have a gazillion fantastic quick exercises. And when I say quick, I mean just short and big impact. I love them. So the somatic piece to it is this. When you even do this, it'll slow your system down. For some people, that's silly. For other people, that's exactly what they need. So just getting yourself to just literally pull like that. Yeah. Another thing is to open your hands. So when you're about to grab your phone, literally open your hand. And it creates this sense of, it's like you're almost creating more space, which you are. Because if you think, like, when we get frustrated, we often tend to clench our jaws or our fists, and then you just open your hand. And I will bet you, if you pay attention throughout the day, you might, if you have a tendency to be more high achieving anxious, you may be surprised at how your hands throughout the day are oftentimes very clenched. I have noticed that more and more. And I'm like, the minute I just open my hands, my body relaxes. It's like telling my body that we're safe, things are okay. And if you're someone who's highly anxious, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So that somatic piece is huge. Grounding your feet down, taking your shoes off, and being able to just put your feet on the ground is another huge one, because it gets you out of your head. So even if you just do that quick thing, if you're about to do a Zoom meeting and you know that someone who's on the Zoom meeting, whether it's someone you work with or someone who's just in the organization, triggers you in some way, if you are able to get your feet on the ground, it helps you get out of your head. So it's a great prep too, for you to be able to go back to, like, well, what's my purpose? All right, my purpose is to contribute to this group. I'm not going to have one person kind of take me away from all of it. And then the last somatic piece, if this works for you, if you get a little bit more aware of how your body is and internally, and getting really clear on sensing when you tighten up, you can check in to say, am I contracted right now, or am I expansive? Do I feel really tight, or do I feel looser? And if you're feeling looser, awesome. And don't rush by. Why are you feeling looser? Oh, I just had this awesome conversation with my friend Jen, and that made me feel so everything. It like rebooted me. I also felt totally connected. I felt seen. So we oftentimes run past those moments when we're feeling really good, and we really pay attention to when we're not feeling good. But to pay attention to, like, what is it that I felt really great about? Oh, I had that wonderful connection with that coworker and I feel open. Great. Remember that so that you can catch it again and go, oh, I'm feeling contracted. Okay, well, what's one way that you can just allow yourself to internally expand a little bit? It may be physical, and it may be, you know what? I just want you to text to somebody, or I want to jump on TikTok, or I want to check in with a friend, or you know what? It could be, I just need a clear expectation from my direct supervisor about what they want me to do. I realize I'm kind of assuming it might be that, but the more you can check in and say, am I feeling expansive or am I feeling contracted? You have so much more control of how to shift that so that you feel better.
Yeah.
Big time.
I love all the very simple but profound, powerful strategies. The feet on the ground, the hands. I actually, Christy, I've talked quite a bit. I haven't ever noticed or used that. I didn't know that strategy, and I'm really excited to pay attention. I do notice that I use an analogy in my speaker coaching around when we try to hold or grip on tightly to our script, grip on tightly to our content, it never turns out as well. And the analogy I'll use is if you're playing a sport, like a racket sport, whether it's tennis or golf or you're rowing, anything that requires a grip, if you're gripping too hard, you're not going to perform as well. So
Mm.
there's some faith around like, no, I can lightly hold on and I will have more power. I think you're more in touch with all of your body and not just having this control come from your hands.
I Yes, and it's making, so I love that because when I used to do track back in the day, like in middle school, it's making me think. One of the coaches said, you don't want to be gripping your hands when you're running. You want to act as if you're holding a potato chip
Yeah, that's
and you
really
don't want to break it. And I was like, oh, and I think about that all the time. If I'm doing like a short run or if I'm walking, I'm like, oh, you want to pretend like you're holding a potato chip and you don't want to break it so that you could, yeah,
release the tension.
release
Yeah.
the tension. Absolutely. Any other thoughts on purpose?
No, I think that what's really cool is the somatic things. It also reminded me of this idea of handcuffs on or handcuffs off when
Mm.
you're given a new opportunity. It's different. Like the example I was giving before around my calendar is full. I have that. I've already said yes, I'm doing it. Let me look at the impact I will create versus when a new opportunity comes your way at your work or at your in your personal lives of noticing how does my body feel? Does it feel if I accept this that I have handcuffs on, that I am tied to and
Mm.
glued to this task or this thing that I agreed to? Or does it feel freeing, like handcuffs off, that I can be really expansive? And noting how you feel in your body. Are you constricting or are you expanding while evaluating that opportunity can be really helpful in not making a mistake or not feeling like I should do it. So therefore I will. But actually, is this something that's going to be fulfilling and create purpose for me?
Yes, and for other people, going
Yes.
back to what you were saying before about the impact thing. And what a great analogy for the COP acronym, the
Yeah.
handcuffs. Because so many times, like it's the external. Okay, so an opportunity is benign, an opportunity is agnostic. We're the ones who really give it any meaning, right? So it's a double handcuff. I love the idea of, is this opportunity going to make me feel handcuffed or freer? And then on top of that, who's talking, right?
Yes.
We oftentimes imprison ourselves when we're like, oh, that thought is giving me handcuffs. That thought is making me feel more liberated and free. So I love that. So many tight, looser, tight, looser. So just to go back and remind me if I forgot anything, one way to do it to get in your body is the making sure, like if you're holding on, well, now we know we're going to hold it like we don't want to break a potato chip, but holding the reins to the horse. So just paying attention. I always have like this beautiful white horse that I'm riding and I always pet it. And even doing that, really, even like just slowing it down, because that part of ourself that gets so triggered is oftentimes that younger version, right? And so it's just kind of like, all right, we're good. Then all of a sudden the wise adult part of your brain takes over. It's really useful. So for some people, it could be pretending they're petting a horse off screen. Another, it could just be doing the motion of reining in, or you could even visualize it. Oh, I'm reining in. It could be paying attention to your hands and noticing throughout the day when you're clenching and just reminding yourself, even when you're holding the steering wheel, you want a good grip because you want to be a safe driver, but just paying attention. Like, I never even noticed my hands are so tight. No wonder I have pain in my shoulder or whatever it is, because it's all connected. So it's like opening your hands there. I love the idea of when the phone rings of flattening your hand. Like, do I need to answer this call right now? Versus like that knee jerk that we have. Do I have to answer the text right now? Open your hand to give yourself that pause to really think, well, will this be helpful in some way? Right. And then we talked about the feet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's put it down, change that
Yeah.
context. Like feel like, okay, I'm connected to the earth, I'm connected to the world around me,
Mm,
and I'm in my body. I'm not
yes.
just in my head. I'm connected holistically.
Connected holistically, totally. And I love you bringing that up because the connection piece is so huge. Again, it's being on the same side of the table and not across. So how can you get to that place? Or if you are feeling like very distant, who can be someone or something? And it could even be something that you're watching, or ideally, of course, it's an actual person, but that can be your ally to just help and support you in this space so that you feel more together versus isolated. So going back, capabilities is the C, and that's in the first video. And then we touch on strategies for whatever organization you find yourself in, whether it's business, home, community, schools. And then we're finishing everything up today with purpose. Purpose.
Yes. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, please go back, watch. You can watch over and over, share with friends. But the idea is that we're trying to work with you and ourselves to relieve any kind of expectations we put on ourselves, any kind of pressures we feel from the world around us, and revive to feel like we're our best possible selves. So we are excited to hear what you think and how you use these tools.
Thanks, everybody.